to, I guess it's not technically a podcast, just a video this time from DNVR Avalanche, talking mostly Ross Colton. We wanted to do a standalone thing on this before the draft stuff kicked up, but it's been a busy couple of days. That's going to be at least as busy tonight and through the rest of the weekend, most likely, given the draft and free agency still to come. But the news of the day, and really yesterday too, the Avalanche initially traded Alex Newhook for a couple of picks to Montreal. They then used the second rounder they acquired in that deal, which was pick 37, to flip it for Ross Colton from Tampa Bay. Colton is 26. He can play center and wing. Had a 32-point season last year, I believe, and a 39-point season the year before that.
Yep.
Is currently an RFA as well. So they will have to sort out a contract for him and hopefully buy some UFA years. I imagine this won't be a one-year thing for them. But AJ, initial thoughts on Ross Colton?
I mean, the selling point here is really easy, right? Subtracting Newhook. Had they traded Alex Newhook for Ross Colton, 1-for-1, I would have gone, oh God, what does Tampa Bay know? But it also would have been the same enthusiasm that I have today of Ross Colton. Newhook was penciled in as the 3C. And that's where Colton is right now in this lineup. Is right now he is going to be Colorado's 3C. That's just given the fact that they don't have guys around them yet to change that. That's where he is slated in this lineup, and that is really, really encouraging because you're talking about this is what a 3C looks like. He is not overly big, like he's not like you're not going to look at his size and go rawr, but he's super physical and he is ultra competitive. And this is the kind of guy that you would describe as the type of dude that would rather chew glass than lose a hockey game.
So this initial conversation is a little bit tougher for me than I think it is for you. Had you traded Newhook for Colton 1-for-1, is the Avs roster better today? Probably marginally. I think Colton is a better fit as a 3C, but you're giving up on any progress that Alex Newhook could potentially make as an NHL player.
Correct.
I think Colton is very much more established as who he is. Like, hadn't been in the league that long, but again, he's 26. You kind of know a little bit more what you're getting there. So if it was straight up, I probably wouldn't have liked this all that much. But then you remember the Avs have now gotten Ross Colton and a first-round pick for Alex Newhook.
Yep, and that's where you look at how this is shook out. Okay, they started the week. Just go back a week ago. They had no second line center. Their center depth was Nathan MacKinnon, ? Alex Newhook, and Ben Myers. Yep. Fast forward to today, they have
Nathan
subtracted
Rijo and Ross Colton.
They have subtracted Alex Galchenyuk and Alex Newhook, added Ryan Johansson, Ross Colton, and a first-round pick.
All right. All Alexes must go.
I don't understand anybody that would be unhappy with that bit of business. Except for the contingent of people who are like, Ryan Johansson's not a 2C.
Yeah.
This goes to further enhance, at least, again, for right now, this goes to further enhance. They're going to see what they've got with Rijo at 2C.
Yep. If it's so disastrous, it's something they'll try to solve at the deadline, I imagine.
Yeah, because Colton is not the kind of guy, and while he has played some left wing and moved around Tampa Bay's lineup a little bit, he's not, the way that he plays the game is not a great fit next to Johansson or MacKinnon.
Yep.
And this is shooting aspect of his game, like the he's very shooty first, would be nice next to Johansson's playmaking. But neither one of those guys are going to carry pucks out of the defensive zone.
For sure.
At that point, you are almost entirely reliant upon the third guy on that line or the defense to get them from defense to offense, to get them into the offensive zone. Because Ross Colton is not going to do that for you.
No.
He is not a guy that he does not do anything in transition. It's not that he's a bad skater. He's fine. But
there's a skill ceiling there.
Yeah, just where the way that he plays, he's just not a guy that's going to carry pucks from defense to offense.
Yep.
So when you talk about, okay, right now they have him as the pivot. Right now, if he's 3C, that needs to be the focus for the next few days here. If they're going to move those 2 first-round picks, I feel like if they were going to move both of those, they probably would already.
I don't see them moving both, but I will say I would like them to still move one of them.
Okay, but for what?
A winger.
Because I think this is where they're in that weird spot again where they've got first-round pick to sell, but is there a player worthy of a first-round pick for them to go deal for?
Well,
the guys, and we're seeing Riley Smith literally before we
just
started,
got a third, yeah,
went for a third-round pick, just straight up.
And
so you're talking about a super depressed wing market.
And I get it gets complicated, but you absolutely could trade out of the first round, pick up 2 more seconds, and then try and do something with that.
This is where they won't do that before the draft. This is where they will wait till draft floor.
Oh,
they have to wait for somebody.
Sure.
They have to wait for somebody to see how the board unfolds for them to want to move up and do all that. To be honest with you, that is what I think happens tonight. If I was able to gamble on it, I don't know that I am. I would be willing to bet that they pick at 27. Well, I would say I don't want to even get that specific. I would be willing to bet they make 1 pick tonight and they try really hard to trade down and pick up 2 second-rounders for tomorrow.
Given that they now have 27 and 31, 2 picks in that same range, it just feels like they're such a good candidate to trade out of one of those for seconds or whatever they deem worth trading back for.
What we haven't seen yet, and Kyle Davidson, GM of the Blackhawks, has already said he wants to try to consolidate some of his second-round picks. This is where moving down at 27, and we do everybody's favorite cap-friendly trade of 27 for 35 and 55, still continues to make all the sense in the world. And then they pick whoever they like at 31, and then they spend the night trying to either move 35 or 55.
Depending on what they're targeting as a winger or potentially a 6D, whatever.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think that is what makes the most sense for Colorado. And I would be a little bit disappointed if they make both first-round picks.
I would not be in any way disappointed because they will have added that Ross Colton is very, very. I'm just going to say Ross Colton is likely to get between a 3 and 5 year deal here.
I would be way disappointed if it was 2. Like, you went out and got this guy to hold on to him for a little while. If you're giving up Newhook, which you had control of for the next 4 years, for 1 or 2 years of Colton, that would be a little bit disappointing for sure.
I mean, if they did a 1 year deal, so just
walk him straight to UFA.
Well, and if they did it to save money, like they like the player and they're like, hey, we're gonna let's just walk him to UFA. We'll see how the year goes, and we'll hopefully, if they did a 1 year deal at like $2.5 million or $3 million, something like that. I would want to see what they do with the savings before I would feel any kind of way about it. But
of course,
you could understand where they're coming from, but this should really just be, to me, I would try and keep the AAV down to 3, and I'd give him a 5 year deal. Just me personally. I really like Ross Colton, so I understand that I'm very comfortable making that decision, and that I'm spending somebody else's money.
At that point, if you can get him on a 5x3 or a $3 million by 5 years, I would do it immediately. I think part of what you have to understand with Colton, I understand the pieces that got moved for him are part of the Newhook deal, but depending on how this free agency shakes out, this guy is potentially replacing JT Compher for you more than he is Alex Newhook.
If you're comparing their construction to the championship team, that's correct.
Yeah,
that would be accurate. Not
No.
last year's team. To the one 2 years ago.
Yep.
Ross Colton is your answer, is your JT Compher replacement. And the fact that he could easily get a 4-year deal at $3.5 million and literally replace JT Compher's contract.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would, one, be kind of funny and like Kismet, right? Like, it would just the way that the universe works. But that's also why I'm saying, hey, if you could guarantee give him a 5th year and get him down to $3 million.
Yep. I 100% would do it. Wouldn't even think twice about it. $3 million for a guy who's automatic 30 points, effective defensively. The guy you've been missing in your bottom 6, it feels like.
This is where if you're looking at from the haters' perspective, and to be honest, I haven't actually seen any of this, but this is the one thing that you would say at the moment you don't like about the deal is that defensively you just went and got a 3C that has not been very good in his own zone in his career.
Sure.
He hasn't been bad. Like,
yeah,
it's not.
I don't really have
bad.
Problems with his defense, to be honest.
It's not really bad. I don't want it to be. I don't want to put it out there that he's bad defensively. He just hasn't been very good, and that's one of the areas when you start to get the trade-off of offense for defense starts to go like it's supposed to get closer the further down the lineup you go.
Sure.
And with Colton, you're getting a guy that you think could score 20 goals for you if all things go really well. Because one, he scores a lot of easy goals. He scores a lot of garbage goals. He scores good deflections, rebounds.
And he scores the exact type of goal the Evs couldn't score last year.
Exactly. He was also Tampa Bay's trigger man on their second power play unit. They ran their power play, their second unit, in part was set up for Ross Colton to bomb away one-timers from the Mikko spot. Because I'm sure somebody has gone and YouTubed all of his goals or whatever already, but he's got that in the bag in a big way.
Yeah.
Now, we saw with Evan Rodriguez had it last year too. You don't see it a lot, but having that little extra ability there could be very nice to have, especially on a second unit and where not everybody in the world gets hurt, and that guy has to play a prime role on your top power play unit.
But, I mean,
as a complementary goal scorer, he is very wonderfully set up to succeed in this Colorado lineup right now.
Your power play unit's pretty well right now. Your top unit is going to be McKinnon, Rantanen, probably Nichushkin, maybe Lehkonen in that spot, and then
one of those two guys,
and then Ryan Johansson. I think Johansson's your easy bumper, given his tipping ability. And Makar is the 5th, of course.
Yep.
So your second one ends up being Taser Byram. Pick whichever one you want. Doesn't matter.
Both.
You could run both. I think they could do. I think they could do a 4-forward power play here now, though, depending on who they go out and get for.
Well, and at the moment, no.
Yeah, it depends on
because they don't have that guy yet.
But now you're looking at it as whichever one of Lehkonen and Nichushkin. You're probably putting Ross Colton on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just say Evan Rodriguez, because he's a guy that could be in that spot.
At the moment, as currently constructed, it would be Lehkonen or Nichushkin, whoever's not there.
Yep.
Ross Colton takes the face-off, and it's Byram, Taves, Girard.
Sure, the 3D, but
yeah. At the moment, that's where they are.
I would expect one of the wingers they go out and get.
Given the fact that they still need to go get a guy that's going to play in their top 6, it's fair to say drop one of the D.
Yep.
For that, and the other element of Colton here, 56% on his faceoffs last year. I went and dug a little deeper to check the splits. He was at 55% in the offensive zone and 54% in the defensive zone. He was also at 55% on power plays, specifically.
So he can be a bit
did not
of
take
that
any.
guy.
Did not take any on shorthanded because he's not going to play on the PK.
Yeah.
So this is where both Johansson and Colton give them guys who are good in the dot, but guys who are good in the dot situationally and not just have a fancy number because they win center ice faceoffs at the start of every game. These are two guys with Johansson and Colton. They get two big bodies. One of them is a playmaker. One of them is a shooter / goal scorer / really, really physical animal. Like I really want to stress to Avalanche fans, if you're not familiar with Ross Colton, he is very physical. But that said, he's not one of those physical guys that gets himself into tons of penalty trouble. He does take penalties, but he draws a lot of them.
It's come a long way for us, given that 3 years ago, watching the Cup final, the quote was, "Who the hell is Ross Colton?"
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I would expect JT Compher's gone now.
It just became a lot harder for Compher to fit.
I opened up the door yesterday and said maybe they would want to, if they could use the Alex Newhook savings.
Well, look, but all of these moves are always connected, right? If the Avs thought there was a good chance Compher was coming back, they probably don't use this pick to go get Ross Colton.
It's true. I mean, the thing is, though, in theory here, you could put...
you still could, yeah. Like, one of them moves to the wing permanently.
I don't really want to spend a lot of time on it because it's not going to happen. But Compher on the right wing next to Ross Colton would be totally fine. Compher as the center...
best hockey as a winger, but...
Yeah, Compher as the center next to Colton on the left wing would be fine. Like, you have the makings of a good third line there, and what Colton lacks defensively, Compher brings, and what Colton brings offensively, Compher does not.
The problem
on a consistent basis.
To bring Compher back, you're talking about your third line. Between those two alone is probably costing you at least $7 million, probably more.
Exactly, and that's why this isn't a real conversation. It won't happen at this point.
Yeah.
So, is he often injured? No. He's missed 3 games in 2 years.
Pretty good health track record there. Not that it's a super huge sample size, but
yeah. I would also say this is a guy that this is a guy that he brings that physicality. He brings some face-off acumen. He played a lot of wing last year, like a lot of it. So there is a chance here that I am projecting incorrectly that he is going to be their center, but I also think that when they sent out the press release today and Chris McFarland specifically said he is a big winger, it kind of gave the game away.
The thing is, like, again, if you're projecting him as a JT Compher replacement, inevitably when someone gets injured, he's the guy that can bounce around the lineup for you.
Yeah. He played with a handful of guys. He played in a lot of different little spots last year, which in talking to somebody from Tampa Bay today, they were saying that was a reason why his numbers were probably down a little bit.
Lack of consistency. Yeah.
He bounced around their lineup quite a bit and did not find kind of that same niche in their lineup as he previously had his first full season. But I would say your main takeaways here are the physicality. He is a monster on the forecheck. All right. And if that means he's on the third line and you have Arturi Lehkonen up there on one line and Valenchushkin on another line and Ross Colton on another line and Logan O'Connor on another line, then you're gonna go and get that at least one guy is coming to eat your heart on every shift. Now, I at the moment very lightly have LOC penciled into that third line next to Colton. Because
however the other spots play out, it just depends. Yeah,
exactly. We'll see. We'll see what's up, but that's kind of where I have with the Colton thing here. I know. I don't have too much else to say about Colton. Do we want to do a really quick thoughts on the draft, like a quick draft preview here?
Sure.
Just because we've already talked about trading back and doing all that, but. Is there? I actually do want to ask you this, and since I was just gonna make conversation with you before the show started, but since we're here, I mean, they do have 2 first-round picks now. Is there a guy that if he starts to slide, you would say take them both and go.
Move up 4.
And is our answer going to be the same?
I mean, there are multiple guys I would do it with, but I don't think they'd actually slide. For realistically, like if Bonk is still there at like 21, I'd start getting pretty antsy, but I don't think the Avs will do that.
I don't want to give both to go from 27 to 21, personally.
That's fair. That's fair.
I also don't think that the separation between Bonk and the other guys is going to be big enough for me to get that way.
So you want to move up like significantly.
I don't know what the value is. I would have to look at the value chart.
Yeah,
I kind of have it. I kind of have it in my head that about the highest they could get is probably like 16 or 17.
Let's call it 16 just for ease.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I think if either of Reinbacher or Simashev were there, I would do it. I don't really.
Okay, well, I mean, Reinbacher won't be. He's going in the top 10 for sure tonight. I mean, that will be happening.
Yeah, but I think Simashev should go in the top 10 too, except he's Russian.
Simashev was the name for me. All right, I've got this at
the value here. Other than
I have
that,
it at 1480. That can't be right. That's the 8th pick.
Yeah, that sounded way too high for 16.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1280. Don't do math live on air, kids.
That's not even math. That's just reading.
That's the 12th pick.
So you're talking about like 1,000 for 16 or something?
So it's 1,000 straight up. Fucking nailed it. So that's where they would be. I do actually have a little bit of thoughts on Gianni Fairbrother, if people were interested in them.
I'm sure people would like to know.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so so for me, my number 1 is Simashev. My number 2 is Willander. I have no issues. I would not mind being aggressive there. I love Simashev. I really like Willander.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to move up both firsts for Willander, but
is there a forward? Because for me, that answer at the moment is no.
Not unless like something crazy happens.
Like a Zach Benson.
Yeah, if Benson is there at 17 and it's like, what's happened here? But
okay.
But no, for a realistic faller, I don't really think there's a forward that the conversation you get into there is like if the Avs can somehow get out of one of those firsts pretty quickly, and then you can like give up a first and a second to move up to like 21 or something for a musty, maybe something like that. But
okay. Yeah, I didn't. For me, there wasn't a guy that I just had to have. I think Simashev. If Simashev starts to get to 14, I'm making phone calls.
You're probably not the only one.
Well, because 14 is Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, I wonder if Dubas, especially.
Yeah, he always likes to get that value.
Hey.
Could be interesting on that one. Is there a world where that happens? Yes, but I think realistically, it's much, much more likely to see a trade back than a trade up.
I agree. I just wondered how aggressive like you
Sure.
felt like, hey, like are there really some dudes?
And like, we'll find out in like 4 hours. So
yeah, and like let's be honest here. Every single year there's one guy that starts to slide where you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. There's always one faller.
I mean, do you remember a couple of years ago when it was Jesper Wallstedt?
Mm-hmm.
And it was because it was like, oh, goalie's going to go in the top 10. Goalie's going to go in the top 10. And then
nope.
He wasn't even the first goalie taken.
Yep. Weird stuff happens on draft day. Sometimes people have their lists, and someone just is the second guy on 6 teams lists in a row, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's the thing is for me right now the answer is like if it's Simashev is the big one. Willander I would be fine with. But I think sitting tight and letting the draft come to them.
makes more sense for sure.
Yeah, like if they,
I mean, keep in
because
mind.
I mean, let's be real here. If they make one pick tonight and trade the other one for 2 second rounders, 2 second rounders, even if they don't pick tomorrow, 2 second rounders is still some really really good value.
Yeah,
Where what kind of wing could they get? Because I'm not at that point. You're not looking at the Jake DeBrusks of the world. Guys on expiring deals.
No.
You're looking at guys who are signed.
Yep. And like,
or you're doing the Colton thing where he's an RFA and you're like, we're keeping him for multiple seasons.
It's an interesting conversation because moving up to make a pick, that prospect immediately becomes the best prospect in your organization, right?
Probably.
But understanding that the Avs cupboards are not particularly full,
yeah,
moving back, I think, presents more value for them as an organization. Again, regardless of what they end up doing with the picks.
I think that's also where the conversation about just making both picks, like if it push comes to shove, they just take 2 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't love that. I think there's better ways to get value for Colorado, but you know, this isn't a vacuum. You have to find a dance partner if you're trying to get more value. So it's not like that's just a free thing you can do.
Man, I'm looking at RFAs right now.
Yeah.
And it's like the only ones that would make sense. 2 second-round picks wouldn't be enough for. Like Lafreniere.
Yeah, definitely not enough.
Terry.
Yeah, you need a first there for sure.
DeBrincat obviously would be like the big fun one.
That would be a sky moonshot of value,
Yeah.
But
yeah, because when you look at Colton, he's one of the only guys that's really kind of in that in between where you're like, yeah, okay, this would really make sense. Where like Shane Pinto out of Ottawa wouldn't make sense because
did you want to give some thoughts on Fairbrother?
Yeah, so in talking, I weirdly, I don't know how, but know a handful of Montreal homies. So anybody that went and looked at his stats page yesterday saw the same thing I did. He's played 22 games in 2 years.
Injury last year. Yeah.
Yeah, just a bad knee injury. And that's where he's in the final. He's going into the final year of his ELC. He doesn't have great size, but he's ultra physical and competitive. And he has a real nasty streak. And he doesn't bring a lot of, this is just me repeating what I've been told here, okay? Does not bring a lot of offensive upside, but has a really, really mean streak in him and a really high competitive streak. And that, I mean, hey, go play for the Eagles for, be healthy for first of all. Go play for the Eagles and we'll see.
See what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's exactly the kind of profile. I mean, you've been talking about Oliver Bonk this entire draft class, specifically for the reason of he fills a hole in the organization.
Plays actual defense.
A style of player that the Avs are lacking.
Yep.
So
that's the big brain play. They went out and got him so they could get footage to show to Oliver Bonk and be like, play like this.
Or they could just go get Simashev and not worry about it. If they walk out of here, if they walk out of this week, I guess if they walk out of Nashville with their 2 and 3 C's filled and Simashev in the organization,
not to feel pretty good about that. Yeah,
it's an A+, man. Right now, I'm sitting on it's an A. I want to see what's left, but it's
I
not
don't
going
know if I
to.
give him an A just yet, but it's a B plus
Really?
for
You
sure.
wouldn't even give it an A minus?
I mean, B plus, A minus, same thing, right? Whatever.
It's the difference between an 89 and a 90 on a test.
Oh my god! All right, are you my teacher now?
I mean, I like to think that I'm everyone's teacher. And that we're all students of each other.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the school of hard knocks, I think, after that.
To answer this question, yeah, I would take Michael Harabel at 31. I'd take the goalie. I don't know. What did you do at 27? Did you pick or did you trade down? If you traded down, I'll totally take the goalie. If I picked, I'll still totally take the goalie. I'm good with the goalie.
Having multiple picks, it makes it a lot easier to take the goalie, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree.
The only thing, if they keep the picks, I hope they don't take 2 forwards. That's all.
Look, Dario, the Avs don't need to worry about defensive depth in the NHL. Carson Soucy's hitting the market, baby. I swear to God, if they sign him, I'm going to laugh so hard on Saturday.
It's going to be an all-time call for sure. Okay. I think
I don't know what to say about losing Compher. They've replaced him. Between Ryan Johansson and Ross Colton, JT Compher's been replaced.
Yep. Especially where, given the roles left on the roster, you can probably get Evan Rodriguez to play that role cheaper than Compher would.
Yeah, I'm really curious what Erod's market will be, and I'll be really curious to see. Because right now, you're like, dude, if you're talking... I know everybody's like, they need a top 6 wing. They need a top 6 wing. I don't agree. I think they need 2 middle 6 wings that can be interchangeable and move around their lineup.
Wing, to be honest, but
Erod would qualify for me. If you can go get Erod and another guy that's like that, that's it. You're golden, baby. Like, Erod would be fine. You could start him next to McKinnon. He could drop down next to Colton if you wanted to. He could do a little bit of everything.
I'd put it this way. I'd like to see them take a little bit of a swing on a guy with upside. We've talked about the Druin thing or an option like that. That's what I'd like to see them do.
Yeah. I would be, look, if they're going to take that swing, Max Pacioretty, baby. Take the swing.
I mean, that would be a goal scorer next to Ryjo.
They're already going to have Mikko there. This guy's going to go next to McKinnon.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. We do have a draft to go prep for. So we're going to wrap up this little combo.
Yeah, given how you and I are dressing for tonight.
Yeah, we got some readying to do here.
Yeah, I actually can't just like throw on some shoes and leave.
Should be a fun night, though. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm super looking forward to it now with 2 picks. Like
this, in the research we did for this draft, like most of the time leading up to it, you and I were both like, we're going to do this show and they're going to trade the pick and they're not even going to do anything in the first round. Now, even if it's a trade, they're doing something in the first round.
Because if they don't pick tonight, something's taking place. Probably 2 somethings has taken place.
Yeah. So
it's probably 2 somethings or 1 real big something. And both of those are going to be fun.
So there you go. Be sure to tune in to our live draft show. It starts at 5 p.m. Mountain, so just about 2 hours from now. Actually, we probably start a little before that, but either way.
It's supposed to start at 4:40.
Yeah, we'll start a little before the draft, but
yep.
Tune into that same YouTube channel. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. We're going to get out of here for this quick combo, and hopefully we will see you in a couple of hours.